coming from prisons, from mental institutions, from all over the world. Without borders and fair elections, you don't have a country. Make America great again. We must win in 2024, or we will not have a nation. Thank you. Illegal immigration is poisoning the blood of our nation.
Speaking truth, Donald Trump. If we do not have borders, we do not have a nation. And if we have complete lawlessness with our borders and people coming over, it is a straight path towards hell in America.
Yeah, we see that over and over again where this mass immigration is rotting us from the inside. We see ourselves slowly decaying in so many different ways. I was going to try to name off a couple ways, but too many come to mind. Everything is decaying in America right now. Our society is falling. That's why we need Trump back. We need someone who's strong enough to lead us back into American greatness and make America great again.
I will make America great again. But the question is can he fight the attacks? Can he fight the indictments? Can he fight the federal charges? Can he fight the being removed from the ballots? We're making some wins today with Trump. We're going to be covering that. But can he fight the administrative state that he's up against?
Well, he has to. He has no other choice. That's one of the cool things that the left and the deep state have done is they've backed him into a corner where the only way out is either surrender, which he will never do, or to win. And so it's one of the laws of power. Actually, have you ever read the 48 Laws of Power, where it says to burn the boats behind you so that you can actually have victory because there is no surrender? They put him in a place where he has to fight or he goes to jail for the rest of his life. He has to fight and he has to win. So I like our prospects because our champion right now, he is going to be fighting for us, not because he chooses to, because he has to.
Someone's got to do it, and I think the understanding here needs to be that the MAGA movement is much larger than Donald Trump. It's about an attack on the American ideology and American way of life. And we don't need Donald Trump to do more. I think ultimately, yes, he needs to fight his own battle, but we need more people like Donald Trump. We need more people like Elon Musk. We need more people like Alex Jones, people that are, testing the corporate narrative, getting censored, getting banned, having all sorts of lawfare, and we need more people to step up to the plate. And in order to win, you have to be the man in the arena. This is not a spectator sport by any means. So you got to get in there and actually do something. Report ambush journalism. Get in on a story that way. Write to your local people.
Go to city council meetings.
Run for office. What are some other things people can do?
Start a media platform and talk about it to inspire people. All these things.
You don't have to be talented. You can be dumb and ugly like us and, still make a fight. I believe so. Whether we're hitting 100 viewers or 1,000 viewers, it's still that little bit counts.
Yeah. They can't stop us all. And so if we're able to inspire a few, and if you're able to inspire a few, and Donald Trump is able to inspire a few, and Vivek is able to inspire a few, and all of the patriots are able to inspire a few, we will be able to break the system because every single straw that we put on this camel's back will continuously weigh it down until eventually we're able to overwhelm our system, break the camel's back, and be able to be successful in liberating America. So we have to do it. We have to. The only other option is death. Either death by tyrants or we fight to get our freedom back.
Give me liberty or give me death. Well, thanks for being here today. It is BasedCast number 77. We are approaching Christmas rapidly, so thanks for being here on the holiday. We are ready to get into the show, so let's go. Well, I am excited for 2024. I think it's going to be a great year to start a media platform, starting one the year prior here in 2023. But I think it's going to be an amazing time to cover it, document it, and put it all down on a digital platform and really just see what's going to happen. I mean, you have any bold predictions for 2024?
I'm hoping bold predictions for the world or bold predictions for Base Boys Media, because I got both.
Both.
Okay, Base Boys Media is going to be looked back on as the voice of our generation, and we're going to be the ones covering the whole thing. Our body of work is going to be looked back, and people go like, okay, we're the Walter Cronkites, but with a little bit more truth to it. And I kid a little bit, but also that'd be really awesome. And my bold prediction is there is going to be massive civil disrest. People are going to be angry. People are going to be furious of what's going on. I think that every single thing that's going on with Donald Trump right now is awakening and angering people more and more. One of the things I find interesting is Republicans and the conservative movement have almost beat every single accusation that the mainstream has about January 6th. Once you know the facts now, and it's even talked about by Vivek on the last debate where he says it looks like an inside job, and if it looks and smells like an inside job, it probably is an inside job. The popular media has shifted. So when you have angry patriots now, we are now justified.
And time everything that's going on and really put out a truthful narrative. And that's what they're doing really well. Is they have the Americans confused, and it's working really well with the divide and conquer strategy to implement globalism.
I'd love to get your opinion on this, because I know you're the one who introduced me to the concept of the Hegelian dialectic. Do you think that they put things out there for the conservative or even for the awoken masses of people such as us to distract us? So, for example, I've seen so many people recently talk about, oh, they're trying to trick us with the white lung. They're trying to trick us with closing down whatever. They're trying to trick us with bringing back another plague or another pandemic. But really what they're trying to do is distract us from what's really going on, how they're trying to steal elections through lawfare and bringing in mass migration. Do you think that this 10, 15, 20% of awakened people are currently being deceived into believing that we can fight back and saying, oh, we're going to resist this white lung, but not actually seeing the Trojan horse come across our border by the millions?
Are you saying the Patriot movement's a psyop?
I'm saying that it could be a psyop, not just because in many ways, I do sometimes think that the Patriot movement is a psyop. What do we have? We have different figures that rose up out of the Donald Trump era who led us astray. I'm not going to name names, but I think a lot of my people know who or what we're talking about. There is also a lot of grifters who came along. And I think there's also a lot of bad actors that was inside of that as well. We have in the conservative movement so many bad actors who came along. Like, do you believe that Dave Rubin is actually on our side?
I mean, are we talking about the same Dave Rubin that's gay and adopts baby boys?
Yes.
With surrogate mothers?
Yes, exactly. Do for any moment, do we think that he's on our side?
I mean, maybe a little bit. He may not like the administrative state, and we may align with him politically. But I don't know.
We may align with him politically, but do we align with him ideologically of where we want America to go? Do you think there's any crossover? Do you think we need to support Israel, we need to adopt more kids for our gay couple or whatever we're in? Do you think that we, as Christian patriot men who love America, love freedom, and love God, do you think that we share any common interest?
No, not at all.
Yeah, exactly. And remind me of the name of the lady who's in charge of the RNC?
Ronna McDaniel.
Ronna McDaniel. So I'm going to ask my audience this, and so feel free to super chat us or comment on this. Do you think that that lady who has led us to loss after loss after loss is on the American side? Do you think that she's actually a patriot, or do you think that she is just collecting a paycheck and maybe even is a aspect of the deep state that we haven't gotten rid of yet?
She's 100% collecting checks. That's how the entire political system is set up. It's all lobbying and super PACs.
It is, yeah. And that's my whole point is we think that there's a way out. We think that the conservative, that the Republicans, so for example, today, I double checked. I'm still a registered libertarian, because the Republican Party doesn't represent me. Donald Trump's on the Republican ticket, but he's the only one who represents me, and he's not even that Republican. He wants to dismantle the whole system. He wants to do Schedule F and just tear up the deep state. He wants to do that. Is that a Republican movement? Am I a Republican when I say, Nikki Haley, we need to go to war for every other country, but not ours? Am I a Republican when I say, hey, we need to get rid of some of the that's the thing. Our Republicans aren't serving us. Our Democrats definitely aren't serving us. So who actually is our representatives besides Donald Trump? And I am growingly liking Vivek more and more. Name 3 congressmen who actually represent us. I'm giving this to the audience as well. Can you name? Because I can't think of any. I like Thomas Massey. I also
maybe Matt Gaetz.
Maybe Matt Gaetz. And name the third one. That's where I'm lost. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's been a failure.
Maybe Jim Jordan,
but he's got some interesting things where I kind of go there is no one who actually represents the American patriots. There is no one in office right now besides maybe those three that are actually for the will of the American people. Instead,
we need a representative party, a party that actually represents the American people. Because did you see what Tucker said about Republicans? I think it was Tucker Carlson on the Turning Point USA stage when he was on with Tim Cass the other night. And maybe stand corrected, I think it was him, but he talked about how the Republicans do a really good job of making it seem like they're on your side, but they're not, and they don't ever really do anything. I mean, I've heard the term "do nothing Republicans" for a really long time, and that's essentially what it is. And then the Democrats, it's just left wing corporate
communism.
Propaganda. Yeah, communism, Marxism, all bundled into one that comes at you. So I think it's interesting that you've got a large movement of older boomers that still have trust, and hopefully those people are starting to break away. Do you think they're starting to break away?
No,
from the Republican, or they're still vote harder in 2024?
Okay, so some of my favorite commentators in the conservative space, most of them won't even admit that there was election fraud or that Dominion was changing votes. There we go. Just sue us. Sue Zane. This is his opinions. I'm expressing what he's. Don't sue me. Sue him. But most of our people won't actually admit that. See, when we look outside of the conservative movement, who do we have? Mike Lindell. He's representing us, but he lost the RNC election. He's not our leader. Rahm Emanuel is still there. Ronna
McDaniel, for the correction.
Oh, who did I say?
Ronna Emanuel.
Who was I thinking of? I know there's another politician named Emmanuel McDaniel. Okay. McDaniel justices that are in power right now are representing the will of the American people and actually representing the real Constitution. Because going after a former president for something as erroneous as this, you're going after the commander-in-chief, the executor of America, and you're trying to hit him with bogus charges. It is complete lunacy and a banana republic if you can do that. So I am thankful that the Supreme Court was able to say, no, you're not going to vote on this beforehand, and you're not going to be able to do the sneaky, underhanded tricks that you guys were trying.
Yeah, I mean, this is like third world country type stuff we're seeing against Donald Trump. You know, we even have like leftist, liberal coming forward, and RFK, for example, he was even saying that it's detrimental to our society to be going after people that's politically motivated without zero due process, without any, verdict of being guilty with an insurrection. And, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they're trying to convict him off the court of not public opinion, but media opinion. How evil is that? They spin up a narrative about, he's an insurrectionist. He was stealing papers from the White House. Well, none of that's true. We all know that none of that's true, and it doesn't hold any weight. And all the people, all the commentators on MSNBC and CNN, they all know it's not true. But they keep on pushing that narrative so that there is popular demand amongst the Democrat Party, who is currently in power right now, to remove him and to take away his thunder and put him in jail. And we continually see that when we continually see this because we know that our justice system is Soros funded. We know that our courts are Soros funded. And even our lawmakers, our politicians, our lovely politicians are all Soros funded. And so that's one of the reasons why I think there is such a popular demand for Donald Trump, because we know for certain that he isn't Soros funded. And even if we go into other political people, such as Vivek, I don't see any Soros money going to him. I know that a lot of people have the questions about the World Economic Forum, but I think that might just be a way to throw people off by just having him on there. I'm not going to comment too much on that because I don't know enough about it, or whether he was, or whether they just put him on there because they liked him because he was a young...
I've heard that they do automatically pick. So for the young global leaders thing, I think it was Dan Crenshaw. Now, as much as I don't like Dan Crenshaw, sellout, globalist, I think it was him or it was somebody that was explaining the process of how they automatically put people on to the young global leaders. It could have been, what's her name? Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah,
she was one as well. Yeah, it was Tulsi Gabbard. Basically saying how they automatically put people on there, and it's probably some sort of, ploy to make them, take them down a notch and make them, this person's a globalist. I don't want to vote for this people.
Yeah. So real quick, what is your thoughts on Tulsi Gabbard? Because there's a big move on the internet pushing her forward. Like you'll see that on the Joe Rogan podcast all the time. It's like, I like Tulsi Gabbard. Do you think there's any water behind that? Or do you think there's any water in that bucket? Or do you think that she's actually a viable candidate?
I don't know enough there to make a statement on Tulsi Gabbard. I haven't really followed her much to say.
Is that maybe why people like her? In the same way that people loved Ron DeSantis before they got to know him? Do you think there could be something about that where people are like, oh, she seems like a great candidate. She seems like a great politician. She had a really great showing in one debate, but no one really knows enough about her to...
Yeah, maybe she could be one of those ones that flips. That's usually what happens. They present a strong case for their candidacy, and then they never fulfill their promise.
Yeah.
That's just politics for you, baby. Get into office. We're gonna tell you we're gonna get in office and make all these changes and do all these great things, and what do? Continue to sell us out to special interest in to foreign lobbies. You gotta love it. It never ends.
Yeah. So what's the next story you have in the docket? I know we got to get through some of this news that we have on our schedule. We got a lot of news, but there's a lot of emotion going on in this studio today.
You tell us. What do you want to cover, Micah?
Well, if I'm going up for what we want to cover, I just like calling out the deep state corruption because there's so much of it. Because even what we see with Donald Trump, there's so much corruption that we go on there. And I want the American people to see that. I want the American people to wake up and actually go like, hey, have I been lied to? Hey, why do so many of the people in power hate him? That's one of the things that I could pontificate about that all day. And I may just have to.
Welcome to BasedCast, where we pontificate on how much we hate the deep state.
That's our new motto there. New channel description.
Yeah, so my whole thing is as an American, as a country that was founded by young 20, 30-year-old men that wanted to revolt, and we're highly disagreeable men, which we have a lack thereof in today's society. They were revolutionaries. They were people that were highly disagreeable, and they fought against a tyrannical government, a government that was taking away their liberty, and they decided to do something. Do we think we're in a position, do we have enough power? Yes, there's a lot of great people in the conservative movement, a lot of great people doing things as far as journalism and litigation and fighting the courts and going to the airwaves to, crush the narrative. But do you think that equates to the same power of what our founding fathers were in 1776? Because we need another 1776. And it's crazy to me is Alex Jones was for years talking about how we need a 1776, and it was a very fringe thing. Now you have Vivek Ramaswamy gaining lots of traction, and he was on with Alex Jones talking about how we need another 1776. What the founding fathers, reverting back to my question, what the founding fathers' power was in the 1770s, do we think we have, I would say, the balls that they did now back in 17?
A discussion before the show about how many other countries have the same exact corruption. America doesn't necessarily have a identity. Oh, it has an identity crisis, but also at the same time, its problem isn't necessarily the fact that our system doesn't work. It's the problem that we have a system currently in place that has been hostilely taken over. We have a lot of different rules that don't apply to certain sect of people, but the people that the rules do apply to are being dominated. So, first off, voting. We don't actually have that much control in our voting. We need to take our votes back. That's that. Before anything else, we need to have our votes back. If we can conquer one thing, and it would actually save America, is we need to get rid of the voting machines that strip Americans of their actual voice. Because we're always told, and you'll see this campaign on Facebook and Instagram and in Google, get out and vote. Our votes don't matter at this point. We need to do exactly what what Argentina did. Of course, exact opposite of what Venezuela did. But we need to do the same exact thing that Argentina did and Holland did and go to paper ballots. We have to have paper ballots because without that, our vote is given off to whoever the highest bidder is. And the highest bidder is always going to be George Soros and his crony friends. I'm using George Soros now as an idea. We have to get our vote back. Once we do, America is going to be one step closer to being resuscitated. We're on the brink of death, but we can still be saved.
And then another thing, too, is the conservatives should learn how to run elections and run campaigns. You know, that's one thing the Democratic Party does really well, from the legal ballot harvesting and all the things that they do to get people to vote. I mean, they know how to manipulate the universities. They know how to manipulate the nursing homes, which there may not be any legality to that, but a lot of the ballot harvesting and how they collect ballots, they get out there and do it in the states that allow it. And that's one thing is Republicans don't do. They kind of just put this big hope on a red wave. So yeah, first thing is obviously secure the elections, paper ballots, come up with a system of accountability that it's not going to allow these systems to be hacked, and do a better job on the ground game of getting out there and informing people. Because we talk about this all the time, is so many people are single issue voters. They may go just to vote for one thing, especially people on the left. It's typically they're going to go vote for one abortion or whatever their politician is propagating, how they're going to improve the quality of their life by, creating health care. I mean, whatever it might be. That's what we see. It's just it's an uneducated voter. So I think educating people too and fixing the system from the ground up, focusing on children and focusing on how to teach them things that are important to make a country run, and not just having them, be more focused on the bread and circus than being focused on the issues that actually matter.
I 100% agree with you on that. We need to actually focus on what matters. I think one of the things that goes on within the globalist elites is to make sure that we aren't able to think for ourselves. We aren't able to actually make decisions for ourselves. They entertain us. I know I'm going to do some older references here, but they entertain us with American Idol when we should be focusing on how our country's made and how it is sustained and how it is going to go forward. They want us to focus on TikTok and the most current trends that are going on. They want us to focus on the celebrity beef. Football, there we go. Hey, who was Taylor Swift dating recently?
The best vaccine salesman in the world.
Oh, nice. And so they get us to focus on nonsense like that. And, there's nothing against football. Football's a pretty fun sport. But at the same time, when that's the only thing that you consume, because that's the only...
Yeah, here's this. So I love how you can get a grown man to take his shirt off, go to a game, paint his whole entire body, and jump up and cheer and go crazy for his team. It's amazing. You don't... Imagine if more Americans took that spirit and that effort towards things that actually matter. I mean, there's nothing wrong to be passionate about your team, but let's get those people rallied up for the issues that matter, for corruption and tyrannical things. But I guess I'm coming to a realization that the dark side of the world and the deception is kind of what runs the world, and I don't think most people are equipped mentally to tackle that. I think most people are just equipped for the bread and circus lifestyle. They're not really meant to, try to focus on and come up with solutions and have the conversation of the things that matter. Because I've heard some people just be like, "Oh, I don't want to know all that. That's negative." I focus on my business. I do my own thing. Like, why focus on the news? It's just so negative when I can focus on my business. What do you think of that?
I do actually agree with some of the sentiments. Don't focus on the news. The news is, I call it...
Agreed.
CNN is fear porn. And a lot of information that people receive is mental masturbation. The things that people need to be focusing on is, first and foremost, what's going on in the communities. So when you have a community collapsing from mass migration, that is when people should really be getting up in arms. And I think people need to not just be a news junkie, but at the same time, I do think there is a place for people to open their eyes to see what's really going on. I don't see a need for people to watch Fox News or watch CNN or even watch InfoWars all day. There is a place where people can have entertainment. Like that said, I have nothing against football. I have nothing against hockey. I have nothing against baseball. I think that they're amazing American sports that we all can enjoy and gather around. They're great places to have fun. Cities closing down because the government's now forcing draconian lockdowns, and you say, "Hey, this isn't real." What are you gonna do about that? If you're taking, let's say your family's taking the injection, let's say you're gonna take your kids need to get vaccinated, and you know that there is a higher chance of myocarditis and heart attacks in young boys.
What are you going to do about that?
Exactly.
I think I just found a new segment for you.
What are you going to do about that?
What are you going to do about that?
And so exactly, what are you going to do about it? That's my whole point there. Without any action, the knowledge that you have and the knowledge that you gain from the news is meaningless. We have too many keyboard warriors and not actual warriors. We have too many people who are very happy watching what's going on, almost voyeuristic in their tendencies, who never actually act out on the information that they have. We don't have people fighting. We have Donald Trump. We have Vivek. We have, I don't know. You can think of more people? Alex Jones, exactly.
Elon Musk, 50-50.
Yeah, he might be bad. Who knows? But we like him for now.
As long as he uses his technology for good and not to implement globalism, we like you, Mr. Elon Musk. But yeah, that's what it's all about, man. And our mission here is to expose globalism. I talk about this with you the other day, Mike. Is like, what's our mission and what is our focus, and what's our branding? It's about helping people understand that America is under attack from a globalist entity, and that's what we believe. I think it's multifaceted when it comes to the global entity that attacks America, but we want people to see our point of view, and through open conversation and the courageous discourse that we have, I think that can help people understand, where we come from and what we believe. And honestly, hopefully we're able to provide some solution and provide some insight that you may have not already known. But a lot of people don't take the action. And I think I did that for probably far too long, probably a good solid 2 years, just absorbing the content. I knew I wanted to do something, wanted to start like a platform, start a podcast where you're having a conversation about what's going on. And, we're finally here. So I just encourage other people to do whatever you feel you are fit in doing, whether it's starting a podcast or running for local office or just having kids. I mean, having kids is a great act towards to civics and society nowadays. You never would have thought that that's something you have to tell people to go do now to further our movement, because kids, they're just not being born like they used to be.
Yeah, I think that having a family and raising kids who are good is probably one of the best things you can do at this point right now, because you're preparing for the future. If you're not preparing the future generation for taking over America, then you're remiss in your duties. And the same reason, if Zane's parents and my parents didn't actually inform us of how to think, how to grow, how to act, how to speak, how to communicate, then where would we be right now? So that's one of the things is Base Boys wouldn't
in
be
our
here.
mom's basement.
Base Boys wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for our parents raising us right. And so that's one of the next steps in creating as Zane says, a sustainable culture. We need to continue this on. We need to raise up the next generation right so that they can take over and run properly. And that's one of the things I do think. I'd love to get your take on this, Zane. I hear online a lot about how people do not like the boomers because they haven't actually prepared the next generation for greatness. Do you think that's millennials just complaining, or do you think it is something true to that? Do you think that there is weight behind the boomers not actually preparing the generation for greatness and not selling their homes and taking out reverse mortgages and driving prices up and changing the laws that benefit them? Do you think that's the case, or do you think there's more behind it? Do you think it's millennials just complaining about how they're not doing well?
Dude, I think the millennials and the younger generations have a valid concern when they look at boomer success and they look at prior economic standards that our ancestors, not even just our parents, got to live. We didn't have that. I mean, we've brought up the amount of gold and what the minimum wage and how much gold it equated to in the 1970s compared to now. I think the economic ramifications have really just, made it really hard for the millennial. I don't blame the boomers so much. Maybe they didn't do well enough with us. They didn't teach us enough to, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't give us enough information to, and I guess give us their ways to fight the system, or maybe they didn't give us enough knowledge. I don't really know what's created the social divide amongst them, but no, I don't think the boomers are wrong at all. I think a lot of it's just government and corporate tyranny that gets in the way of everything. I don't know.
That is interesting. Because I know there's a big fight online about that, and I always kind of go back and forth where I think to myself, is it their fault, or are we blaming someone else for our problems again? But at the same time, I think there's a valid concern. Because, for example, you and me, we're about to go enter into the housing market, but houses just doubled in price, and interest rates have also quadrupled, if not went up higher than that. And so it is a case where...
But why is that? But why is that happening?
I
kind of circles back to our, what we're trying to call out and what we're trying to expose. It's, government tyranny is what causes a lot of this. Public-private partnerships, massive amount of printing money, random shutdowns for cold and flu. So much causes this. And, it's really... I think that's what a lot of it is what comes to our problems is it's government induced, big government. So we want people to focus on that and see that the government isn't the reason for all your problems. I think there's a lot of individual things, but they do stir up a lot of the problems and create up the economic division and put us in a place that is not favorable.
So you do mention something interesting, and I want to young women being super conservative for men and super liberal for women, and how we can try to fix that, and what is actually the answer to almost correcting the young generation, actually bring them up conservative. And S. Zigbob, he is commenting on the real estate that we're talking about. He said, try foreign investors. Which there is a lot of foreign investment, and that goes back to the 44%, because a lot of money in BlackRock and a lot of the money in Vanguard and a lot of the money in State Street, and you can go down the list of all these private equities. They do have a lot of foreign investments. You have like the Saudi Royal Fund. They pour in billions of dollars for that. China, they're in billions for BlackRock, Vanguard. I know that the Russian The Russians are also in these entities. Oh, Amber Alert.
Yeah, going off live on air. Amber Alerts. Continue.
And then we also have There's still one more phone in here. Okay, there we go.
We got 3 phones. Yeah, 3 of them are going off.
And so Zigbob says it's mainly the Chinese investors. And so thank you for those comments. We're going to keep reading them off. I do think that there is a problem with Chinese investors in America. But I'd love to get your take on this, and I'd love to get our commenters' take on this. I don't blame China for wanting to invest in America. They're trying to protect their money. I would do the same exact thing if I was a Chinese investor. I would buy American real estate. Why? Because American real estate is awesome. And it's a way to protect their money. It's a way to keep their money out of the CCP's hands. It's a way to make sure that they can actually grow income and grow wealth outside of their country and actually have great and have money. And so I don't blame Chinese for that one. I blame the United States lawmakers that make it so easy. And so the same thing with Canada. Canada actually has an even bigger problem with Chinese real estate investors buying up massive swaths of land, and basically it mostly is from Chinese foreign investors because they make it so easy. I know the same thing in Malaysia. A lot of Chinese people buy just massive amounts of land and massive amounts of real estate projects. I know, for one example, the country, it's called the Garden. It's by Evergreen. They have a whole different giant district called the Garden Residence. And so it's something that they do. They buy up land because they're trying to protect their money. Don't blame the Chinese for doing it. Blame the countries who are allowing it to happen. That's the actual problem. Because they're going to do whatever best for them. I'm going to do whatever's best for me. That's just free market. Put your money where it's going to be able to benefit you. But at the same time, American lawmakers need to protect us and represent Americans by saying, hey, you can't buy up all of our land.
Yeah, man, you said it best. You can't. You got to focus on the problems within, and see what you can solve here on the home front instead of blaming, China. Yeah, China has a lot to do with it. The World Economic Forum has a lot to do with it. But like I said, if we fight back locally, local change will provide national change. Hopefully, if we do it right, and if you can get your people out locally, get them on podcasts. Use your phone. We all have phones nowadays. You can get your voice out there, and that's what we're doing. We're getting our views out there and hopefully challenging these big tech platforms and challenging the narrative at hand that puts us in tyrannical positions that we see ourselves in currently. So, fight locally, provide the national change, and, have faith in America and understand that globalism is what we believe to be the biggest threat to take away our American liberties.
Yeah. We have to defend ourselves because no one else is going to defend us. We need to ensure. Okay. My whole point behind you have to defend yourself because it isn't the wolf's fault that he ate the sheep. It's the shepherd's fault. It isn't the fox's fault that he got into the hen house. It's the person who owns the hens who didn't close the gate. That's the problem. We are not closing our gate. We're not closing our borders. We're not closing off America to the enemies that we have. So if we're looking for the actual problem is the fact that we have wide open borders. The problem is that we have lawmakers who aren't doing anything about it, and we also have the Border Patrol who aren't enforcing any laws. We have so many laws on the books that we could actually deport them all right now, but there isn't the will from the politicians to do it.
And that's what it's all about, having the will from the people. So we're here to spark the will out of the people in order to produce the outcomes that we want as Americans. And that's what we're going to do. We have the bold, thought-provoking conversations, and hopefully we provoked some thoughts in your head today. Would you say we did that, Micah?
Yeah, I think so. We didn't really get into too much news, but we did talk about a lot of deep issues that I think are super relevant to what we're going on right now. And I think knowing how to think about the issues is just as important as knowing about the issues.
Absolutely. Well, it is a slow news cycle into the year, and it'll be ramping up here in the coming weeks and in the coming months. So we're excited for 2024. We're still going to have a few more episodes before the end of the year. So this is not our final episode till next year. So look for us. We are on Rumble. We stream on Twitter and YouTube. Looking for our first band on YouTube. Looking for it so bad. And then you can like us on Twitter and True Social as well. We do post on there from time to time. So give us a like, give us a follow, share with your mom, your dad, your friends, whoever is watching, and help promote a pro-America, anti-globalist media organization.